Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and this is the second time that I'm making this video because something unfortunate happened yesterday when I was making the original video, and that's when I was riding along, a freaking bug flew right into my GoPro lens. I could not believe it. What are the chances of something like that happening? But I digress, guys. Get a load of that sweet 520 gold chain and the sprockets, the 45 tooth sprocket in back. You can't see it, but the 16 or 15 tooth sprocket in front. For those of you who don't know, on the 2003 to 2006 CBR 600RR, the front tooth originally is 16 tooth, and the rear tooth, or the rear sprocket, is actually originally 43. So drop one tooth up front, up two teeth and back. And what did it do for the bike? Well, to be fully transparent, guys, about what I've done to the bike so far, because the things that happen to the bike as far as how it's affected really depends on how much you already have in your bike already. On my bike, I have a Two Brothers full exhaust, I have a K&N air filter, I have a Programmer 6 that was dyno-tuned afterwards, added about 17 horse to the rear wheel and 6 foot-pounds of torque prior to me putting this sprocket set on. So the bike had quite a bit of extra power already, but I wanted a little bit more low and mid-range torque, which is really the purpose of having that 520 kit. So let's take off, guys. Let's have a little fun and talk about what this thing actually did to the bike. Let's rock and roll. Let's rock and roll. All right, so the first thing, guys, is gas mileage. You know, how did it affect the gas mileage of the machine? Well, I can tell you that I filled up the tank, ran it all down on the original sprocket setup, and then I filled it up again after I put on the new sprockets, ran it down, checked how much gas I put on it, and blah blah. And yeah, you lose about, it really depends on how you run the bike, my friends, but I lost about 2 miles a gallon, something like that. But it really does vary depending on how hard you ride your bike. The more RPMs you're pushing your bike, the faster you're going. Like if you're in a lower gear, you're running high RPMs, obviously the worse gas mileage it's going to get. I know it's not a big deal when it comes to motorcycles, but I just want to relay that information, that it did lose about 2 miles a gallon, which honestly is nothing. It's really nothing on the bike. I mean, seriously, guys, you got a 4-gallon tank on these things, you're losing 8 miles on a tank. I mean, it's really nothing. So that's the first thing. The second thing, guys, is what is the difference in torque range or in speedometer, right? How much did it affect the speedometer? Well, it depends on how fast you're actually going. If like up to 60 miles an hour, the speedometer is only off by about 5 miles an hour. That's about it. If I go up to 6,000 RPMs right now and 6th gear, the speedometer is showing about 70 miles an hour, but really I'm doing about, let me get back up there again, let me look at my radar detector, really I'm doing about 55, right? So actually it's a little bit more than 5 miles an hour, I'm sorry, that's about 15 miles an hour off, right? But the higher you go, the more of a difference you make. You know, I originally, but when I had the original sprocket set, at 140 miles an hour, this bike runs about 12,000 RPMs in 6th gear, okay? Well, I did another test where I did the same thing. I got my bike up to 12,000 RPMs in 6th gear after the new sprocket was put on, the new 520 conversion was put on, and now at 12,000 RPMs, it does about 115, 120 mile an hour, somewhere in that range. So it lost a good 20 miles per hour on the top end for sure, guys. So, you know, so that's something to note already about a 520 conversion. You know, a lot of people don't know if they want to do it, if they're not. You know, obviously, if you're somebody that really likes to go super, super fast, which I don't really advise, especially on the interstate, it's a felony the first time you get caught, at least it is in the state I live in, but I don't advise it. But if you are the type of person that does do that, then you're not going to want a 520 conversion. The other thing is the bike that I put it on, the CBR 600RR. So the CBR 600 is a wonderful bike. It's my favorite, man. I love these things, but their low and mid-range torque isn't the greatest compared to like a Yamaha R6 or a ZX6R. They just have a little bit more low and mid-range torque. They just get up and go a bit better than a CBR 600RR, and that's just a fact, guys, and that's okay. I have no problem with that, right? It's just fine, right? But, you know, so what people do with the CBRs, and really they do with the other bikes too, is they like to put them 520s so they got a little bit more low, a little bit more mid, and the bike will just want to get up and go that much more, right? The other thing that's really nice about the 520 conversion is because I have a lower gear ratio now, the bike slows down a whole lot easier when you're gear braking. Now that doesn't sound like a big deal, guys, but whenever you're riding, it's actually quite nice because a lot of times, especially in the city or out in the country when you're riding around, you really don't even need to hit your brakes. Now, I didn't really have to hit my brakes all that much anyways with the original sprocket set on this thing, but with the new sprocket set, it's even less so. Like, I rarely have to hit my brakes unless, you know, I'm flying. If I'm flying and going crazy, then obviously I got to hit my brakes before that turn, right? We don't want to go off the rails and go off in the freaking woods or whatever, but it really does much better. Honestly, it feels a lot better as far as taking off as well, because again, with the lower gear ratio, when you're taking off, this sucker, I mean, dude, when I just let out this clutch, it just wants to go. I'm not even giving it any gas, guys. Like, that is insane. And then obviously this thing just wants to get up and go. It's ridiculous how much faster this thing is on the low end, man. It's crazy as hell. Like, the difference is unreal, guys. I can't really explain it, but originally when I rode this bike with the original sprocket set, even after everything that I did with the exhaust and the air filter and the programmer and the dyno and all that stuff, it was fast, but it didn't really feel like it was pulling that hard, you know? That's what torque does. You feel that pull, right? And now this damn thing pulls like, oh my God, it pulls insanely well. It's ridiculous. Like, I go through first, second, third, fourth, like all the gears, even sixth gear, just pulls so much better. And that's what I love about it, you know? Like, whenever I'd get near the top end before, the bike would seem like, you know, once it got about 13.5, it seemed like it would kind of, you know, slow down a little bit. It seemed like the RPMs didn't really want to go up much more, even though the bike redlines at 15,000 RPMs. Now, I don't recommend going up to 15,000 RPMs and so on, but I'm just letting you guys know that now with the lower gear ratio, I can actually get up to that 15,000 RPMs in sixth gear. It can absolutely get up there, no problem, because it's just running lower. It just has a lower gear ratio. It's a lot easier to get up there. And I don't know, there's a sense of satisfaction with it, man. And the bike just, I mean, man, it just moves. It just moves. It's freaking nuts. Now, I don't really want to take any chances, guys. Yesterday I was all forting around and did a bunch of recordings of me flying down the road, and, you know, I was talking about all this, and today I just thought I'd talk about it because I don't want to push my luck around here. There are a lot of police, you know, in these neighborhoods. I mean, in the city, they're spread out all over the place. They're spread out, right? But in the country where I live, they are everywhere. Literally, my radar detector goes off all the time. Like, it's constantly going off, always letting me know there's cameras at lights and all kinds of stuff that will film me if you're going fast and so on. So, you know, and I don't really want to promote speeding. You know, I am somebody that does do it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. You know, I do love to ride. I do have one of these sport bikes, but I don't really want to promote it. You know what I mean? I'm just not really into promoting getting it done and, you know, riding fast and all that. On a track, I'm all for it, but out on these streets, I'm not really, you know, I'm not really into it. I really don't want to spread a bad word, if you know what I mean. But the 520 is awesome, guys. Like, I mean, again, if you're somebody that likes top end and you like to go as fast as possible, then you don't want the 520 conversion. But if you're somebody that rides around the town a lot and you like that little bit more get up and go, and I can tell you, in town, it is a god tier difference. Stopping at stop signs, taking off, people pulling up behind you, being able to launch faster. All these little things are really nice with a lower gear ratio, and honestly a lot easier with a lower gear ratio. Plus, you hear your bike wind a little bit more, which is always nice because of again, the lower gear ratio. I know I've said that a few times, but I mean, I love it. It's awesome, guys. I have had no problems since my installation. I even took my bike to a mechanic, got a second opinion on my rivet job on the Masterlink, and he said I did amazing. It looked wonderful, better than what most people do, especially their first time, which, you know, that was my first time doing it. And I was real proud of that. And I can tell you guys, I've had my bike up to around 130 miles an hour, and that chain's doing fine. I'm having no problems with it whatsoever. I'm still trying to break it in, though. Still got to break it in a little bit because it is going to stretch a little bit. I might have to adjust it a little bit later down the road. But I just wanted to make this video for you guys, let you know that, man, the 520 is awesome. If you want a little bit more get up and go, a little bit more torque, especially if you got a 600, that's a pretty good way to go. I mean, it's a cheap way to gain a lot of extra torque. Costs, you know, under 200 bucks. But if you go out and buy a chain breaker kit like what I did, then it's going to be another 100, so you're looking at about 300 then. But you can easily borrow one of those maybe from somebody else or something like that, or maybe go to a shop and have it done, whatever the case may be. But I gotta say, guys, of all the things I've done to this thing, I think it's really the thing that improved it the most. It's the thing that really, well, the dyno at the programmer was pretty insane. 17 horse is pretty nuts at the rear wheel. But I gotta say, the sprocket, man, it's just, I mean, now this thing breaks loose first, second gear when I take off. Like if I try to launch, it'll just break loose. Or it'll just try to pull the front wheel. I mean, these are things that it didn't quite do before, and now it does it damn near casually. I mean, it's just, it's wild, man. It's really wild. So again, guys, I just wanted to relay the information about the 520 conversion kit on the bike. Let me know what you think about them, guys, or if you're thinking about getting one. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See you, everybody. Take care.